The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation or Stewart Title. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
When it comes to real estate, everything matters. Whether you're a realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title is here to inform, entertain, and inspire you. Host Bill Napick from Stewart Title will talk with guests about what really matters when it comes to owning, buying, and selling real estate. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title starts right now. Here's your host, Bill Napick.
And welcome to the show, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Napick. We go forth again with another radio adventure. We talk about real estate. Today we have a few surprises for you. So whether you're listening right here in Houston, Texas, New York City, the Woodlands, the Heights, it doesn't matter. We think you're going to find the show very interesting, especially today. We've assembled a fine cast with great information to help you in whatever you do, especially real estate. First of all, we are going to talk to retired FBI agent. His name is Carlos Barron right here. I say he's retired, but he's very busy helping people every day. Carlos, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
And you are here. Let's tell people, first of all, the company that you founded right here in Houston. Let's tell them about that first.
So my company is a company that I started with my brother Miguel and two retired FBI agents, and we provide in-country safety and security services for American travelers traveling abroad. We currently operate in Spain and Italy, and the individuals that we have in-country are former FBI agents like myself, who retired after 20 years plus, worked in those specific countries at the U.S. Embassy, and they're very familiar with with the laws of the country, the embassy protocols. They have tremendous contacts in the local law enforcement community. So what we do is we provide a in-country point of contact for American travelers, or including students. I mean, a lot of American students study abroad in Italy and Spain during a semester or summer. So we are we're a safety resource for them. We provided what we call an in-country fixer for issues that might come up regarding security or safety.
And as we talk, in case people want to follow along, let's tell them the website so they know about that.
The website is www.salus,
And also, first of all, thank you for your service, the FBI, and you have been protecting us for many years. We don't take it for granted, so thank you for that, Carlos.
Thank you.
And let's tell people, as far as the FBI, that's so fascinating. And we're going to also talk, as realtors hear this show, and people buying or selling homes or just staying in their home that like to hear real estate shows, let's talk a little bit about personal protection and some of the things that we think about, because you talked about Italy and Spain. Yes, they can be perilous, but right here in good old Houston, Texas, we have to be on guard.
Yeah, I mean, here in Houston, we live in obviously in a wonderful city, the third largest city in the country, a city that's very, very spread out. And unfortunately, there is crime in the city, and you have to be what I describe sometimes during many presentations, or even with my teenage children that drive, is you have to keep your head on a swivel around this town. So I always tell them to be aware of their environment, be aware of their surroundings. Don't let the social media distractions that we have nowadays distract them, and be aware of where you're at. And, I think, crime really revolves around opportunity. And if you're aware, you can diminish that opportunity for somebody to do harm to you.
And that's right. We are out there, and we think about that opportunity. Unfortunately, we think about opportunity in a good way, how we can make our lives better. But there's people out there that are looking and watching for us to falter so that they can move in with an opportunity to maybe do something wrong.
Exactly right. And, obviously, as realtors, we spend a lot of time, in the car. We spend a lot of time going to meetings, open houses. And we are around people that we sometimes just meet for the first time. So it's just a question of raising people's awareness and make them think about safety in a different way.
And as we say that, I also want to mention Stewart Title. We have many distinctions, and one of them is this radio show, the only title company to have a radio show. Oh, yeah. But also, we are now, you're going to be joining forces with us to help people with safety classes. So as Stewart, we have about 30 locations around the Houston area. If people want to reach out, if realtors want to reach out to find out more about where you will be talking about safety for realtors and just for people, they can contact their local business development officer. So just stay close to your Stewart office, and you will find a class where Carlos will teach and give his presentation. But before we talk a little bit more about personal safety, let's talk about your timeline. And the FBI has such a fascinating heritage and mystique to it. I mean, you have, like the movie goes, you have a special set of skills, and you know some things, and you've seen some things that most of us will never see. Tell us when you first began with the Bureau.
Yeah, I was recruited by the FBI out of graduate school at UC Davis in Northern California. So I was recruited at the ripe age of 25 years old, and I spent almost 25 years in the organization. I speak Spanish; it's my first language, so I was hired for my Spanish skills. And my first office of assignment was Tucson, Arizona, where I spent almost 7 years working, narcotics violations and a lot of the cartels, that are in Mexico and sending drugs and narcotics into the United States. And then after that, I spent 3 years on the island of Puerto Rico, also working narcotics. But obviously, this was, Colombian cocaine being transported by Dominicans, into the island of Puerto Rico. Because once you get narcotics into Puerto Rico, they are in the United States because Puerto Rico is a commonwealth.
That's right.
And then after that, I, took a promotion and went to Washington, D.C. for 4 years, where I worked actually at NSA for a year. I worked for an entire year on the 9/11 investigation and aspects related to the communication that the 19 hijackers used during their time here and the communication methods and methodologies they used to execute the horrific acts of 9/11. And then I went to the international side of the house, and I worked for, the FBI in Mexico and Argentina and Brazil and Spain. And then in 2003, I was fortunate enough to take a promotion and come to Houston, where I worked as an executive here in Houston, what's described as a number 2, an assistant special agent in charge. And I worked on the intelligence program, the FBI post 9/11 and post WMD commissions, and a lot of things that were done in Washington transformed its intelligence processes by which the FBI then had a responsibility to share information and not withhold. So I did that for many years, and then I retired over all the violent crime and everything that had to do with crime in Houston for the last 4 years. So I was responsible for gangs, violent crime, human trafficking, public corruption, and narcotics, and everything that had to do with violent crime.
It's fascinating, too. And going back to when you were talking about Tucson, and I can't help but and drug cartels, I can't help but think of the show Breaking Bad. It sounds like some of the texture that show, which was really a fascinating show and compelling to so many individuals, but it sounded a little bit like that. Is it anything like that?
I've seen Breaking Bad, and I thought it was a wonderful show, and it's based in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, which is similar
you got your dry climate
to Tucson, and and the location and so forth. I found the fact that the bad guy was living within the community very similar to some of the things I experienced in Tucson. I mean, we had individuals that were high-level traffickers that lived in the community and that were members of the community and were hiding really next to us. So I found that. And then I found the character of the DEA agent very similar to a lot of DEA agents that I had met in my career.
So apparently they did their research, because as we think about the bad guy or girl or whatever, they're living amongst us, and I would think that they're like chameleons. They want to fit in to conduct whatever the activity is.
Exactly right. And that's so that their portrayal, their writers, and their the people they were consulting with were very, very good. Now, mind you, in the early 90s, late 80s, meth wasn't what it is today. So they had the drugs you had to import. You couldn't create your own drugs. So meth wasn't as big of a problem as it is today. So the challenges that law enforcement face today are different than we had back then.
And when we think about, and even there's a parallel here, real estate agents are always learning. There's so much training that goes on in the FBI and other law enforcement agencies. Training is constant. And what you've learned as far as communicating to people, body language, those things, spotting someone that's not telling you the truth. I mean, what you've learned about that, and of course, personal safety. Give us a word on some of the things in terms of communication that you've learned that just helps you even in everyday life right now outside of the FBI.
Well, I think communication is one of the key essential parts of any profession or any business or any ability for anybody to be successful. You have to have the art of communicating. Now, obviously, in law enforcement, we have to communicate with many, many people. One day you can be communicating in a courtroom to a jury or a federal judge, and the next day you might be communicating with an informant who might be living amongst individuals that are very, very bad. So the ability to move between know who you're communicating with and be able to toggle between sort of the good, what makes sense to people, and then the bad, what doesn't make sense, is really sort of an innate ability that you learn as the years go on. And then also, everybody focuses on the art of communication verbally, there's a lot of art of the nonverbal. So we really sort of look at the nonverbal and what that means and that tells us, and we establish communication avenues through that, because there's a lot of nonverbals that are going on, and you can stop communication with nonverbals, as we all know. So it's something that I think you perfect as an FBI agent through all the years and all the experiences. But I think what makes our situation unique is that we can go from, like I said, a federal judge one day to a real bad guy, or to maybe, unfortunately, maybe having to talk to a victim on day 3.
Yeah, I would think also the nonverbal communication sometimes is more powerful, if not all the time, what they're not saying, and also the way the body is moving and the eyes as to tell if someone's telling the truth or if they may have ill intent.
Exactly right. It's really comes down to that, and the art of what we call the interview is an art that every FBI agent learns to perfect and perfects throughout the years, especially those investigators that are out on the streets trying to keep our city and our country safe.
I can't help but go back to in my world of the TV and the movies. How many times do they bring the person into the interview room? That's always fascinating. And whatever the show is, they also approach it in different ways. I always like that part of any of the shows.
I can't blame you. That's where that's where the rubber meets the road.
It really does, yeah, because that's the part where the person that's being interviewed is, if they're not going to tell the truth, they're thinking in their head, I guess, what story they're going to try to keep portraying as they beat the guy down over and over. And how many times you hear it, the guy says, how many times are you going to ask me that question? Because they want to get the truth, right? And
the key thing to know is that, if you're getting interviewed at an FBI office or getting interviewed by FBI agents, those FBI agents know a lot.
You're not going to fool them, most likely.
Most likely.
Very fast. Now, by the way, a crazy question here, Carlos. Now, if you were to become tomorrow, leave the security business and become a real estate agent, what you know about communication, give us an idea, maybe some of the things that you would do to maybe get the listing of the home that's going to be put for sale.
I mean, I'd focus on the communication piece. I mean, the communication piece is one of the most important pieces, and you have to know your client, I would think, right? You have to know your client. You have to know what their interests are. And the key, I think, is, translating the world we live in today, where everything is about social media, everything's about an app, everything is done so impersonally. Trying to personalize that relationship, I think, is something that I would want to focus on if I were a realtor.
And the other thing that comes into play in real estate, FBI, and anything else, when we meet someone new, rapport has to be built, right?
Right.
What are some of the things that the FBI agent thinks about in engaging that initial engagement with someone?
I mean, you're doing your appropriate research. If this is a planned meeting or this is something that you've set up, I mean, what research have you done on the person that you're meeting? Have you taken the time to do any type of research on the person, right? I mean, obviously, when I had many employees or when I was looking at resumes of future employees, what's the first thing you do? You Google, right? So what kind of research are you doing to the person you're meeting? What interest what have you learned about them that can help you, establish that rapport?
And also, going back to personal safety, give us a word to, as we are, let's say, take the real estate agent going in there, taking someone around to look at homes. What are some of the things that they should do before the person goes in the car? And of course, we know that they should be pre-qualified to be able to buy the house, but that's number one. But number two, what else should they do before they have a stranger in their car?
I mean, I think that obviously the research about the individuals that you're showing around. I mean, is there a way that they can drive their own car and follow you? So you don't put yourself in a situation like that. Have they met anybody else in your office? So they know that they've met somebody else. So if unfortunately this turns bad, they know that there's somebody else that knows. So, my main point is are you thinking about safety, or are you just getting into the routine of what you do every day, and this is just another client, and you're just rolling and trolling along? So those type of things, if you can pull back and just say for a second, hold on, maybe am I thinking about safety? That is one of the main purposes of a lot of my presentations, are just, are you thinking about it? And if you can remember that it's something very important, because are you doing anything to create an opportunity? Not saying that every situation you're going to run into could be a dangerous one, but if you are meeting people that you don't know, and people are getting into your car, and you're going to areas of town that you're not familiar with, right? Do your research, because it can be dangerous.
Be familiar, be prepared. Like the United States Coast Guard, their motto is Semper Paratus, which means always ready, right?
Exactly. Always ready. As I say, just head on a swivel. What have you done to keep your head on a swivel? And all that research you're doing on the front end, is making sure your head's on the swivel.
And we're talking with Carlos Barron, former FBI agent, about realtor safety. And let's tell people, as far as the open house, give us a word on that. If you're a real estate professional, you have an open house, it's in the afternoon, 2 to 5, let's say. Even though it's a bright, sunny day, you could have some bad character walk in. What should you be aware of at the open house if things turn bad?
Obviously, you should, there's technology, and there's many, many apps that can help realtors obviously press a button and, have an emergency app. There's obviously, you can, you can meet the neighbors if they're out there working, so let them know that you're going to have an open house. You can bring somebody with you to your open house, so all of a sudden you're just not there by yourself. So there's things that you would use from a common sense standpoint in your everyday life. I mean, if you're a realtor and you have children and you're raising them in Houston or anywhere else, and you are talking to them about, hey, be aware when you're driving, be safe. Are you going, with your friends? Do you have a buddy system in place? Those are the type of things that when you're doing your job, should be thinking as well.
And Carlos, say with the last minute, what else would you like people to know about your company or anything else?
Well, obviously, if you're a U.S. citizen and you're traveling to Spain or Italy this summer, you have kids studying abroad, things can happen overseas, and we provide a very unique boutique-type security safety service in which you will know the individual, Mark Vari in Spain or Melissa Thomas in Italy, that are there for you 24/7 if something were to happen. So you have your fixer on the ground, and we just want you to have a very enjoyable trip and know that you have them in your pocket in case you were to need them.
And when I'm thinking about Italy, I've not been there, but I'm thinking about great food. I want to go, but watch out for pickpockets, I hear.
Watch out for...
They're really there, right?
There's a lot of soft crime there, but sometimes that soft crime can turn into a nightmare when your passport gets taken.
A special set of skills. Carlos Barron. Thank you, Carlos, for being on the show. And we're going to come right back with even more. Stay with us. You're listening to Real Estate Matters with Stuart Title. That was Carlos Barron, retired FBI, but still working very hard. Stay with us.
Most people don't know that Stewart offers business, home, and auto insurance. In fact, Stewart Insurance and Risk Management has been doing that and more for over 10 years. And they partner with many leading insurance companies to offer great rates. They're a national insurance agency operating in all 50 states, delivering a broad range of insurance products. Whether you need a home insurance quote for a client's home closing or your own insurance needs, you can count on them. Call 866-845-4676. That's 866-845-4676. Stewart Insurance and Risk Management is here to help.
And welcome back. Real Estate Matters with Stuart Title. I'm your host, Bill Nampick. And now from FBI agent to real estate agents. That's plural indeed. We have a company here called the Horizon Team. We have the broker owners, Noe Hernandez and Jose Rayo. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill.
How's it going, Bill?
It's going okay. How about the FBI agent, real estate agent?
How are we going to top that?
There's no way.
Yes, you can. We're going to talk about real estate. It's all teamwork makes the dream work, and it all is compatible because it all fits in. We have to be safe, but we also have to be out there as agents promoting real estate day in and day out, right?
Absolutely.
Very, very good. Very good.
Well, first, let's tell people about your team called the Horizon Team. Whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Well, it happened after a night of mariachi, so just kind of formed after that.
Now, how long ago was that, Jose?
That was honestly a year ago.
For my birthday, actually.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
March 9th.
Okay. All right. So there you are. And the Horizon Team, you have at this point, and sometimes we think about agencies as far as volume of agents. How many agents are on the team?
Right now it's 30. But when we first started this idea, we only had about 7. And that's when we decided to say, you know what, I think it's time for us to take on a new chapter, new adventure. And we formed the Horizon Team.
And let's tell people where you're located.
We're located in the Heights,
and
401 Studwood, Houston, Texas.
So you're right, right in the center of the Heights. And let's tell people, as far as the way you approach the real estate profession, Noe, do you do it geographically and focus on the Heights, or how do you do it?
Well, he handles a lot of the marketing, but we're pretty much in the Houston area and surrounding areas as well as far as the marketing.
And as far as the Heights goes, people, it's a fascinating area. It seems like it's growing all the time. Tell people the market right now, the perspective in the Heights.
Well, I mean, the Heights was basically the idea of we want to be centrally located for all our clients and for our agents, for them to have easy access to get to the office, as well as for the clients to come in and meet and greet the agents. Because at the end of the day, it's about wanted to build that rapport and that relationship with the client. So the idea came in, hey, let's move into the Heights. I actually grew up there, and it's obviously a booming neighborhood, a neighborhood that you can walk around, walk your dog. There's parks, great schools. So just ideal for us to be in there.
And as far as the appreciation of property, it seems like when I hear people talk about the pricing in the Heights, it's growing rapidly. It's increasing a lot. Is that right?
It's incredible. My mother still lives there. She bought her home for about $39,000 about 30 years ago. So she's sitting pretty well.
So she's saying,
yeah.
Is she ready to sell yet?
I've been trying to, but we come from a tradition where whatever home you buy, that's gonna stay with the kids and it's gonna go from generation to generation. But there's a lot of other people that happen to move in there at a great time that eventually they're gonna have to, either the taxes are gonna get them or they're gonna look at their profit and say, you know what, it's time for me to retire.
And you bring up something interesting, Jose. That also is, my family was like that too. It seems like when you buy the first house, that's the house.
That's
there.
it.
That's your house. Yeah. And like you said, it can go to the children or the relatives, whatever. So yeah, that's I don't know, maybe not generational, but certainly some families have that idea, and it keeps on going, right? So let's tell people, as far as buyers and sellers, Noe, in the world of the Horizon team, do you work more with buyers or sellers, or is it kind of even?
Yeah, at this point, we're working more with buyers. Most of our market areas that we do that go to our agents are working with buyers.
If I were a buyer looking at buying, and let's take the Heights again, if I were looking at the Heights and I said, I have $400,000, what kind, and I want a single family home in the Heights, am I going to be able to get anything in the central part of the Heights, or the nice area of the Heights, we'll call it?
Well, at 400, it depends on the condition you're going to get.
All right, okay, let's up it. I'm going to reach into the money bag.
So,
let's go. Let's say
that's going to depend on the condition.
500,000. And we getting warmer?
Now, you're getting warmer now.
And what am I going to get, say, for 500,000?
2-3 bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Will I get a garage?
Bungalow.
Oh,
no, highly doubt
do I
it.
have to go back into the money bag?
You see, that's the thing is that there was a phase where townhomes were like the popular thing. Oh, let's live in one of those 2-3 story townhomes.
Right.
But now people are like, wait a minute, we think those bungalows that were built in the 1930s are really cute.
They are cute.
1940s, and you get a little bit more land, backyard space.
What if I have a dog? I need that little land.
The kid. So, yeah, 400 or 500 will get you a bungalow, but it just depends on the condition or what's sustainable condition to you.
I'm going to reach into the money bag and up it and pull out 700,000 cash deal. Now what can I find?
Now you can find a great realtor for
Okay, so now, wait a minute. You weren't interested when I wanted to buy a bungalow. So 700,000. I'm going to be able to get something 2-3 bedroom with a garage and a little bit of. What about my dogs?
Absolutely.
I get a little yard.
Your dogs will get a yard.
So
we'll throw in the leash too.
You throw in the leash. Okay, all right. Now that sounds pretty good. Now, let's talk million and above in the Heights. From a standpoint of $1 million and plus, how far do they go up in price, and what am I going to get for $1 million? I mean, you got $1 million properties there.
I mean, the most really, there's not a lot of houses that have hit the 1.5, 1.6, because obviously after that little, market crash, everything came down to the $500,000 and up. But, there are homes in the 900 mil, 1.1, and they start to get a little unique at that point. They're new homes, so you're going to get a brand new home, bungalow style, but perhaps a 2-story. So you're at that point is really your preference, but you are going to get a nice single family home, not a 3-story, townhome or anything like that.
And at any price point, let's take any of these homes that we just fictitiously bought. The other thing we're going to get is we're going to get a great location. And let's tell people, let's say they're listening not here in Houston. People know about the Heights. But let's say someone's listening, say, from my home state, Pennsylvania. They're listening, and describe some of the things that are going to be around that they can enjoy when they live in the Heights.
Well, we can describe this much from our office. So if you come and visit us at our office, a block away is White Oak. White Oak is known to have all the restaurants and the bars. So you can walk there. You could take your dogs to these bars. You could take some of these restaurants. You can even walk in with your dog as well. So they make it very family friendly. And on top of that, in the Heights, there's a lot of activities for you to do with your kids. So I have 3 kids, so the Heights always keeps us very entertained. So there's events at Travis Elementary, which is a very, very good elementary school there in the Heights. They have a Halloween parties, Christmas parties, and so forth. But everything in the Heights is very walkable. You also have Heights Boulevard that has a lot of attraction. You have 19th Street. A lot of plazas are there. So pretty much everything that you're wanting, you can find there in the Heights.
Yeah, the only problem with that is if I walk into a restaurant with my two dogs, Elvis and Callie, they're going to be fine with Callie, but they're going to ask Elvis to leave because he's kind of grouchy. So that's the only problem. I'd have to put him through some kind of special training. But it is a dog-friendly place. That's
Very
a good point.
Very dog-friendly place.
And people love their dogs. I mean, do you have a dog, Jose?
Yes, I do have two Australian Shepherds.
How about that? What's their names?
Duke and Chico, and they're so active.
Yeah. How about that? How about you, Noe?
No pets for me.
There you are. Well,
I am looking to get a dog, though.
Well, that's a good idea. Dogs, I mean, they say it in Washington, D.C., if you need a friend in Washington, get a dog. And I say if you need a friend anywhere, get a dog, right?
Absolutely.
There's something about them. All right, let's talk about the seller, right? Let's say I'm in the Heights and I have a $750,000 range home. I know you guys are interested then because it seemed like when I said 700, you guys lit up. So I have a home that's maybe 700 plus, and I want to sell it. What do you advise right now the sellers in the Heights if they want to sell their homes? Use your company, number one, right?
Of course, yeah.
Come to our office.
Yeah, I mean, usually when we're listening,
Is it going to sell quick?
That's the thing. At that price point, they don't sell right off the shelf. You know, they take some time, and due to the price range, you know, everything goes off of the economy. So the economy is good and business is good. But at that price point, you know, a lot of these people are concerned of their jobs or their companies. Are they going to stay afloat? Is oil going to continue to rise or whatnot? But it will move. It might take a little time than others, especially because right now the homes that really fly off the shelves right now, and there's not enough to sustain the market, it's in 250,000. You can't.
But you don't
them.
even have that in the Heights, do you?
You don't.
Right?
You don't even have that. 500 and up, you're talking about. Yeah, it might spend 30 days on the market or so. But you have to do a little bit more of those homes. You had to do open houses. You had to get professional photography, some aerial shots.
How about some home staging?
Yeah,
that's going to work.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because again, the buyers at this point are becoming picky. They may come from California, they may come from New York, and they don't like the furniture you're using, and therefore it puts a negative on that property. So it just really depends on what area in the Heights you're focusing on and what type of home it is.
So right now, you would say, as far as the marketplace in the Heights, it's a super location. It's doing pretty well, though, right?
It's doing very well. Yeah, it's very well. Homes are moving there. Doesn't matter what price range. It's just if it's priced right, it's going to go.
And let's talk a little bit about some of an area or two that you serve outside of the Heights market. Give us a word on that, because you do venture out, right?
Yes, we do. We venture out about 20 to 23 zip codes that we market in. Primarily, it's between the $100,000 to $300,000 price range. So we're everywhere inside the loop and a little bit outside the Beltway 8. We market as far as Tomball, Lake City, and Humble.
That's a lot of driving there, I'm saying, Jose.
And that's why we have 30 good, amazing, awesome, experienced agents that help facilitate that. So there's always going to be someone available because all our agents are spread out. And again, and it goes back to why we have our office in the Heights. To make
central.
it central for everyone.
Location.
And that's also why people live in the Heights, because of that central location. They can get anywhere relatively quick, depending on traffic, as they say.
Correct.
And let's tell people, too, the idea of your company from a marketing standpoint. What are some of the things that you're doing, or even in the world of your own personal career in real estate, what are some of the things you're doing now to market your company and to market the properties for your buyers and sellers that maybe you didn't do years ago in the world of real estate?
I would have to say social media. Jose does a great job as far as the company social media that we do in marketing.
Like we mentioned before during the break, is that we haven't even marketed to hire agents.
Not yet.
We just
so
been
there's that
straight
many people
referral.
want to come on board.
Yeah, there's just been straight referral and people we worked with in the past that just respect what we do and like what we do. I mean, in this business, there's so much money been thrown around, so it's hard to find people to trust. And so that's one thing that Noe and we never quarrel about money. You know, money's going to be there regardless. You know, we started out with nothing, and the fact that we have a little bit here now, I mean, it's great. So I think the agents see that we're there for them, and we put them first. So it's easy for them to come and work for us.
Yeah, and I would like to add on to that, say the same thing, that our company puts the agents first.
So that helped. That's an attraction
Yeah.
for the agent. And let's tell people as they're listening, if they want to reach out to you to buy or sell that $7-8 million plus whatever it is, how do they reach out to you there, Jose?
They can reach us either via social or our phones. My number is 713-428-1012.
Mine's 832-605-8812.
Instant replay. Go ahead. Do it again, Jose.
713-428-1012.
832-605-8812.
Oh, one other thing. Going back to the open house. The open house, what do you think of the open house? Is it effective? If I'm selling my home, are you going to advise me to go open house or not? What do you think?
It's effective for both the seller and the agent. You always get the curious neighbor that wants to come and take a look.
I'm that curious
yeah.
neighbor. When I see an
But
open house,
at
I'm
the same
there.
time, you always have that curious neighbor that has a family relative that wants to move in, and that's the opportunity to go in and show them. So it's great marketing for the seller. As far as the agent, it's also good to showcase what kind of talents they have, what they can provide to the seller, what they do, how they showcase their presentation, their image, everything. So it helps both, because the neighbor or the curious neighbor might say, hey, I really like this agent. I liked how they did this open house. The day I sell, I want to use them.
How about that? That's music
like
to your
that.
ears, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
what we work for. We want people to refer us. Ladies and gentlemen, Noe Hernandez and Jose Reo with the Horizon team. Gentlemen, thank you for being on the show, and we're going to take a short break on Real Estate Matters with Stuart Title. I'm your host, Bill Napick. Stay with us. So much more is coming.
Stuart Title has been serving Texas for over 120 years. A Texas treasure, Stuart Title's longevity is a testimony to superior service, innovation, and knowing what their customers want. Recent surveys show that 92% of respondents want secure online tracking tools to help them during the closing process. Stuart Title offers the most robust and secure system to track transactions online available today. To learn more, contact Stuart Title at one of their many offices around the city. Stuart Title, online at Stuart.com. That's STEWART.com.
And welcome back. Real Estate Matters with Stuart Title. And now another member of the Horizon team. Her name is Jenny Guerra. Jenny, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Bill.
And yes, it's so awesome. And it was interesting. Met you right at Stuart Title.
At a closing.
And how and what's fascinating when we think about the real estate transaction, the closing in some ways is the culmination, but yet in many ways it's the beginning of the relationships.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning of the person in their new home and the next chapter for the other people's lives. But what struck me is as you came into Stuart Title right there at our memorial location, you were smiling. I think you even had closing gifts in hand for your clients. So let's tell people a little bit about the excitement of the closing part of the transaction for you, and then we'll talk more about your experience.
So the closing, it's just such a rewarding feeling. You've been working maybe a couple of months with this client. Their struggles, they've kind of opened up about their dream home, finding their dream home, this next big milestone, and then you've been a part of it all. And so finally seeing them come to the closing table, and then finally like getting those keys, and then everything that they worked so hard for, and you see the joy in their face, and they're so excited to make all these memories with their families at this new dream home. It's just really rewarding, and it's also worth all the showings that we did all those months, and all of that is just really rewarding to see that.
And when you say that, all those months, because the transaction can take a long time, or it could also be short, right?
Yeah.
So, but you never know until you get out there, and that's part of the adventure.
Yeah, it is. It could take months, weeks. I mean, there was this one client, this lead that I got from my brokers, literally went once to show him houses. And they just knew off the bat.
The first house?
The first, it was the first day. It was probably like the third house we saw. But they were just like, we want this house. And I was like, wow, that easy? That's it? And
Wait a minute.
we put in an offer the next day. It got accepted maybe like a week after that, and that was it. It was like the easiest transaction ever. I was like, man,
This is
I need
for
some
me,
more
right?
of these. Yeah. So
But they're not all like that,
they're
right?
not all like that, but it's always all worth it. I work a lot with. So right now, I'm currently working, so I'm doing real estate part time. So I can't really advertise or market myself much. So a lot
Except
of
on
my
the radio, but that's okay. Yeah.
yes, but so a lot of my clients are like referral based leads that I get from them, and then a lot of them are family members and friends. So sometimes it is super hard. It is a long process, but it's always worth it because I just want them to get their dream home, and I'm willing to put in all the work possible to have them get that.
Now, Jenny, I don't know your family, but I'm kind of just imagining that one family member says to the other, "Oh, Jenny's in real estate. You ought to reach out to her. They're probably some great ambassadors for you."
Oh yeah, they are.
I can see it.
Yeah. I'm born and raised here in Houston, so I have, all of my family is here. Friends, I didn't go to school too far. It's in Austin, so almost everyone is here in Houston. So I have a large client base, so it's really easy to kind of pass the word around, and everyone's been so supportive and just have been helping me out.
Super awesome. And it's fascinating. And you mentioned something, too. There's a lot of people, when we think about the amount, and I don't know, the number is 30,000. You hear these numbers batted around of people that have their real estate license. So there's two things. There's people that have real estate licenses, and then there's some that practice part-time.
Mm-hmm.
Some are in the transition mode like you, and then there's some that are full-time producers, and there's some that just have the license just to have it. But let's tell people, there's a lot of people that do want to do this full-time.
Yeah.
And they're working somewhere else, and that's kind of extra hard.
It is.
But perhaps more of a tribute to when you want something bad enough, somehow you make it work.
Yeah,
and you find the business.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I'm doing where I'm at now.
That's called motivation, right?
Motivation, dedication, all of that. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult, but like you said, when you really want it, you just work for it, and it'll be yours, And so right now, that's the struggle. Well, actually giving myself till the end of the year. So, I'm trying to work really, really hard at my current job, make sure that I am okay financially to be able to make that jump at the end of the year and to finally do something that I'm actually passionate about. And the plan was never to do this part-time, but unfortunately at the very beginning, I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the education to feel confident enough to do it right off the bat. But now that I do have that with my brokers, now they're able to provide the trainings and all of that. So now I'm much more confident. And so the jump to part-time to full-time is coming up really soon.
And
so I'm
also
excited about that.
And continue to have the family out there promoting you. That never hurts. Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, don't forget. Yeah, right.
And now, especially once I become a full-time, I'll be able to market myself on social media. That's a really big drive. Like a lot of people use that to market themselves, and so once I add that on, even better, more clients.
And what about the idea as far as real estate goes? And people think that it's easy sometimes because of TV. They see people getting in the car. It's usually a Mercedes, and they're looking at $1 million homes, and it's like the third home. Oh yeah, we'll take this one. And they make it look easy, but it really isn't. There's so many things, and what I'm getting to is also it can be. Well, you have to sleep, but it can be a 24-hour job if you let it.
Yeah.
Like you could be taking phone calls at 10 at night with someone that has another idea for their requirements. How do you anticipate that that's going to work for you when you think about all the dedication it takes even when you're doing it full time?
Honestly, right now I'm working around the clock.
You're
work
already working around the clock.
Work never stops anyway. But I feel like whenever you're doing something that you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work. Like me answering an email at 11 p.m. It doesn't faze me. Like my work doesn't stop at 5 o'clock. And so like I just feel like right now, since I'm already used to that working around the clock, it's not going to be a problem once I'm doing real estate full time. Like I am going to always be very efficient, be able to provide service all around the time for my clients.
And when you say that, it makes me think of a quote by John Maxwell, and people ask him, this guy's probably 75 years old, out there writing books still, motivating, speaking to people, but people say, when are you going to retire? He says, what am I going to retire? He says, it's not work unless you'd rather be doing something else. And if you're enjoying what you do, hey, you just keep doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if there's someone out there listening that's in your position or someone that's thinking about becoming a real estate professional, what advice would you give them? And especially if it's someone that's working a full-time job doing something and they say, man, I want my license, or I got my license, and how do I make that transition? Give them a word of advice, Jenny.
I definitely think you need a clear vision. And once you make a plan, stick to it. So if real estate is what you want, then you need to be sure to, because it's great to be a risk taker, but you also have to take calculated risk. And so you need to do your
That's
research
my new
before.
quote.
Yeah.
Jenny says, take calculated. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yep. But I definitely would, advise like newer realtors or part-time realtors that they really do their research with what brokerage to choose, and make sure that you're choosing one that has the resources for you, one that is really going to invest in you and, provide the trainings that you need, the education classes that you need, all of that. Because that's really important. That I think that really, really helps you, build your confidence. And honestly, I mean, any realtor, like a successful realtor, has to be confident. You have to know what you're talking about. And even when you don't, just fake it till you make it. And then you ask your brokers, whoever's, there, and you make sure to get the right answers. But the confidence is one of the biggest things. And I think that's what kind of holds a lot of people back from making that jump. Because we want to make sure that we have everything together before, but sometimes you're not always going to have it together.
Sometimes it's never all together. That's right.
Yeah. So you just have to make that leap of faith sometimes and just do it.
And Jenny, if someone wants to reach out to you other than your relatives that are out there marketing, how can they reach you?
You can reach me, 832-728-0503. Again, that's 832-728-0503, or my email, Jenny@jlgrealty.com.
There you are, Jenny Guerra. Thank you, Jenny, for being on the show. And it was so nice to run into you months ago, and now you're here with the team. Give her a call at 832-728-0503. Jenny Guerra. And we're going to come right back with even more. This is Real Estate Matters with Stuart Title. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Most people don't know that Stewart offers business, home, and auto insurance. In fact, Stewart Insurance and Risk Management has been doing that and more for over 10 years. And they partner with many leading insurance companies to offer great rates. They're a national insurance agency operating in all 50 states, delivering a broad range of insurance products. Whether you need a home insurance quote for a client's home closing or your own insurance needs, you can count on them. Call 866-845-4676. That's 866-845-4676. Stewart Insurance and Risk Management is here to help.
And we are with Michelle Steffen with Stewart Insurance and Risk Management. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
I'm going to say two words to you.
Okay.
Car insurance. What should people think about as far as the basics of car insurance?
Everybody's got to have it. It's a legal obligation for drivers. If you're a licensed driver in the United States, you have to have it. So there's that component of need, but additionally, it's the component of protection. It's how can you be protected as a driver on the road, and then how can you protect yourself from claims potentially that come against you because you were faulted in an incident. So your auto policy has to protect you for all of that. It's protecting you in the event you're at fault, and then also protecting you, your family, and your personal property, which is your car, if somebody else is at fault. And then really, how much are you willing to take on as a driver to recover fully, either from physical damage to your body or your property? And so those are really the components that we pay attention to when we're looking at auto for a customer.
And Michelle, give us an idea of some of the other components about the auto policy that people may not know about.
Definitely. So you've got bodily injury and property damage. That's liability exposures, right? And that's what you're legally responsible to carry as a driver in the United States. And above that, you've got uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. Those are optional coverages that again, are not a requirement. So that protects you and your family if somebody else is at fault and they don't have enough coverage or they don't have coverage at all. And just from personal experience, Texas is one of those states that has a high number of uninsured motorists. So add that coverage component on. It's super inexpensive, but it's great protection for you and your family. And then there's also components like a gap type of coverage that protects you if you owe more on the vehicle than it's actually worth actual cash value. That's a great one that we talk about with folks who have newer vehicles. And then roadside service, if you will. So if you have that lockout, if you lock your keys in the car and you can't get into the vehicle, if you have that flat tire, or if you run out of gas, right? So the roadside assistance is really meant to help you recover very quickly. And most insurance companies do have an offering for that. What you want to pay attention to is the range around your primary home, the mileage, and how far they'd actually tow you should you need it.
That's a good point. And also, as we're talking about auto insurance, some of the things we also want to remind people, I'm thinking of all kinds of vehicles. Let's say they have watercraft, a motorcycle, or something like that. You can help them there, too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very similar policy with the motorcycle, but it certainly is specific to the vehicle itself and then the liability risks around that. Again, bodily injury for other people, and if you have a motorcycle, may not be as much as the bodily injury that you would personally suffer if you were to be involved in an accident. So you gotta think about it in a round perspective and make sure that you have the right type of protection.
And I would also think, as people are thinking about their automotive, motorcycle, or whatever, it's always a good thing to investigate and really have that umbrella policy as well.
Absolutely. The umbrella policy is meant to protect you above all of your underlying risks. So if the umbrella policy is going to respond, it would in the event of a motorcycle accident as well. And another key thing that I would mention is and this is close to my heart here in Houston because of Harvey, but it wasn't just homes that suffered flood damage, right? Many vehicles suffered flood damage as well, and it was no fault of the driver. The water rose.
The car was just sitting there.
The cars, floated away. So even those type of losses can be protected through the appropriate coverage, comprehensive and collision. In that case, that's considered a comprehensive loss. It's what they call in the insurance lingo is an act of God, something unexpected.
Let's tell people how they can reach you.
Absolutely. Call us to talk about your insurance options for auto. 866-845-4676. One more time, it's 866-845-4676.
Or go to Stewart.com.
Check us out on Facebook and all of our social media as well.
Very nice. Thank you, Michelle Steffen with Stewart Insurance and Risk Management. And welcome back. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Nampick, and now we have the unique opportunity to talk to McKenna Barron. She is the daughter of Carlos Barron, my dad, the FBI agent. Right, McKenna?
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, we're so glad that you're here, and I guess you didn't have an idea you were going to be on the radio as you're here with your father, but we're glad that you're here.
Of course, thank you. Well, yes, my dad is Carlos Barron, now head of Salud Security Services, but former FBI agent for 25 years.
That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a really unique experience to have to say your dad is FBI.
Right. And some of the ideas, some of the things, though, I think you have an extra opportunity because he has helped you from the world of being safe, and we all need that at any age and no matter where we are. So you've learned some ideas for personal safety for yourself as you're out there navigating, and now you're in college, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course. And, my brothers and I have sort of been like raised with, like my dad said, like head on a swivel. So had this like innate sense of just like be aware of your surroundings. But even as we're into college now, like I found a lot of my friends will like come to me and ask my personal opinion on certain things, or they'll ask, oh, can you call your dad? Can you, get a sense for, safety or.
I'd say that'll cost you. But
yeah.
So you can start your own little business. The entrepreneur, that's a good idea. And now you're in college. Let's have, what are your aspirations and what college do you go to, by the way?
So I'm a rising senior at the College of William & Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. I'm a double major in government and Hispanic studies. Last summer, I had the opportunity to be an honors intern with the FBI. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And this summer, I hope to return. I spent the fall semester in Seville, Spain. So now I am back, and then I'm rolling into my senior year.
So you're doing a lot of traveling, and we learn so much when we travel. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
You enjoying it?
I loved it. It was the best experience I've had since walking into college.
There you go. Well, so nice. And you got to be on the radio, and your brother didn't. So,
Yeah.
And Carlos, thank you so much, McKenna. We appreciate you being here. And Carlos, as we wind up the show, let's tell people anything else you want to bring forth. And thank you for your wonderful daughter here today. But let's tell people, what else would you like them to know in the real estate world about you and personal safety or anything else?
No, I mean, I guess more than anything that I want to tell is just a question that I want to pose. And the question I'd like to pose is, if you're a realtor working in this fantastic city that we live in, have you thought about your safety? Is it something that you think about? And if you don't think about it, you should start thinking about it, and we can help you think about that.
And that's a good point, because I think in the world, not just real estate sales, but any kind of sales, we're so focused on the goal, which is to sell something, to serve the client, to exceed expectations. A lot of times, like you said, we don't think about our own safety and can get into trouble.
Exactly right. And that's my point. I think if you're thinking about it, that's one of the most important points that I'd put out there is think about it. You think about it with your children. You think about it with your family. Are you thinking about it when you're working?
And a good point, too, as you're here with your daughter, if you are a parent, make sure you train your children, too, at as early as possible. I'm just guessing, right?
Exactly. Always know who their friends are and know what they're doing on social media. And obviously make sure that you tell them to keep their head on a swivel.
And the website, again, Carlos, is?
www.salussecurityservices.com.
And be on the lookout for Carlos appearing at a Stewart Title office near you. Check with Stewart, and they're back, the Horizon team, Noe and Jose, and Jenny's going to be coming up here at the end. Hey, gentlemen, welcome back.
Thank you, Bill.
Nice to be back.
And let's tell people, again, about your company and how they can reach out to you. You're located in the Heights, helping buyers and sellers all the time in the real estate world.
Yes,
Jose?
we're located in the Heights, 401 Studiowood Street, Suite 201. You can also look us up on Facebook at the Horizon Team Facebook page, and you can reach us at 713-428-1012.
There you go.
Or 832-605-8812.
So nice. And Jenny, as we conclude the show, it kind of began with you, meeting you those weeks and months ago. Anyway, let's tell people how they can reach out to you.
832-728-0503, or you can email me at jenny@jlgrealty.com.
And then how do you handle challenges, Jenny? That was one of the questions I didn't ask you. Give us a quick 10 seconds on handling challenges. Now I feel bad.
Call your broker.
Yeah, call my broker. Speed dial.
There you go.
No, I definitely keep a planner. I try to stay super, super organized. And that organization is key whenever you're a realtor and trying
You
to
probably
juggle
write
both.
lists down, I'm guessing.
Yep, I am. But just, and then just things that our brokers sometimes offer,
Excellent.
like these softwares, Follow Up Boss, all that to kind of help with that. Oh, that's great.
Okay, and you can call Jenny at 832-728-0503. And don't be sad that the show's ending at the time of broadcast, because it doesn't really end. You can always hear it at Stewart.com/Houston anytime you want, even in New York City, even in Williamsburg, Virginia. That's right. Stewart.com/Houston, or go to my YouTube channel, Bill Nampick Radio Shows. You can see these tremendous guests and so much more. And until next week, remember, Stewart.com/Houston. Remember also, personal safety. Be aware. Keep your head on a swivel. Carlos Barron, he's helping us at Stewart Title. Come to one of his classes. Ask your business development officer, whichever branch is close to you at Stewart Title. Until next week, thank you for listening. Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, your host, Bill Nampick. And until next week, we'll see you then. Stewart.com/Houston. Thank you, McKenna. Tell everybody in Virginia, I love that area. I used to live up there. Until next week, we'll see you then.